There is almost no end to the amount of enhancement we can do to any project in the Why Byte Python programming course available at www.whybyte.in. Do check us out. That's exactly what makes the course very, very interesting. Now, in this particular case, we are building an enhancement for the shopping cart project. The user comes in, we ask enter 1 to 6 to select an item, 7 to check out. So let's say, for example, user want to purchase, one, so maybe 5 units of milkshake. User wants to purchase, let's say, chocolate, so enters three. Maybe say, let's say, 6 units of chocolates, and maybe say, the special, which is mousse. And user says, okay, I want to purchase maybe say 2 units of the mousse. Now I get a choice to select whether I want to proceed to checkout. I say that all right, I do want to proceed to checkout. My shopping cart is displayed, and I think I'm good to go. But just when I say 0 to proceed, look what happens. It tells me that people often purchase biscuit with milkshake. Now it's starting to make a recommendation. So I think, yeah, that's probably a good idea. I go and say, all right, yes, I want to add that. It tells me people purchase toffee with chocolate. I purchase chocolate. It recommends me toffee is another thing that people purchase. I don't think I want that. So I just say, for example, enter 0, and says people often purchase dry fruits with mousse. Uh, well, I think that's a good idea. So I add that, and notice what happens. Now my shopping carts gets updated along with the first three items. Biscuit and dry fruits have been added. 5 units of biscuit, 2 units of dry fruit because I purchased 5 milkshake and 2 mousse. In reality, making recommendations like this is in fact a huge business. We will get an idea of how that is done in our own little world, and also in the process learn a little bit more about Python programming. The idea that we are using here is to create two more lists, which are basically say off by two and off by price. Now, these lists are perfectly in sync with the menu, price, and inventory. So what we really mean here is that if, for example, user purchases ice cream, then we know that, we say, okay, the commonly purchased item with this is wafers. Notice the indexing is exactly the same. Now that's the backbone of our program. So what we do really is that once the user has finished shopping, we look at the shopping cart, we look at what items user has purchased. For example, user purchased milkshake. We go and figure out, okay, milkshake is on index 0, which means I can look at the index 0 of this list and recommend biscuits to my user. 3 quantity because user purchased 3 from the shopping quant. So I can just pick up the shopping quant and put in the quantity. Likewise, user purchased eclairs. So I figure out that's at index number 3. Index number 3 of off by 2 is cream. So I go and recommend cream to my user. And again, all of this I append back to the shopping cart so that my shopping cart gets updated, and it just, the entire program just flows from there. In terms of the code, remember we do all of this after the shopping is over, which means that we look through the list shopping cart. So we have this for loop, kk in range length of shopping cart. We are basically looking through every item on the shopping cart. We figure out where this appears on the menu, and the reason for that is this list off by 2 is in perfect sync with menu. We figure out the quantity, and then we ask, okay, look, people often purchase off by 2 index with shopping cart KK. Now notice here, this is in IDX because again we are indexing into this list off by 2, and this is KK because this is indexing into the shopping cart. And we ask user if he's interested, he or she is interested in purchasing, enter 1 to purchase. If we do get that answer, then we just go and append into the shopping cart. In this case, we are absolutely sure that this item did not exist in the shopping cart, and hence we can only just do append, and that's good enough. Now, finally, to display the final shopping cart, uh, we again look through every item of the shopping cart. There are two possibilities. Either it comes from the original menu, in which case we stick with the original code, which means we look at the index in the menu list and find the price from the price list. Or it's also possible that this particular item now comes from the off by 2. Now, in this case, we look at, the index from the off by 2 list, also the unit price from the off by price, because, again, all these lists are perfectly in sync. And beyond that, everything is going to work as it was working. Let's see this working in code and convince ourselves. So here I have created these two lists, off by 2 items as well as the price. Now notice, because I'm using 6 items, because my program here is also adding the special item that we have spoken elsewhere. Now once the user finishes the shopping, so we come all the way down here, but before the shopping cart is finally printed. So this is where I'm going to end. I'm going to enter the logic to allow user to make the selection. So I go and say for KK in range, let's say, len of say shopping um, cart, and again, like I said, idx is equal to, let's say, menu dot index, because we are indexing into this menu. We are finding out where uh, this particular item in the shopping cart is in the list menu, and we figure out the quantity. We can just read the quantity directly from the shopping quant, say KK. So first I want to inform my user that people often make a certain purchase. So I go and say print, for example, people, PEOPLE, often purchase, and I can use say oft by two. Now this notice has to be IDX, and I can say, say with, and of course this has to be shopping cart, and again I have to be indexing with KK. Now we can just see this working first to see how it renders, because I want to make a certain point here. So let's say I come in here and I just say okay, I come in here, it asks me what I want to purchase. So I say one, I want to say get say 6 units of this, and then I say okay, I'm done, I want to proceed. Notice what has happened. It did ask me people often purchase biscuit, but it put a lot of these spaces. Now why did this happen? Because when we first created the list, we made sure that every element on that list has 11 characters, which means we put a lot of trailing spaces. Now obviously there are other methods of doing it, but we are keeping it very simple. Notice we have put a lot of spaces around this. That looks okay for the formatted display, but it looks odd in the sentence. We can fix that by using the rstrip command, which will remove all the spaces from the right side. So which means that it'll basically remove those spaces and the print will look nice. We can check that once. So so for example, one, say 5 units, I say 7 0. Notice this time around people often purchase biscuit with milkshake. Now having done this, I want to ask my user if he or she wants to go ahead and purchase this. So I create a question, go ahead, equals to, let's say, int, say input. Now here, because I'm an input statement, I must use the join apple banana. So I just go and add, for example, enter one to add, um, you can say plus. I'm going to just give a space here so it renders nicely. Say oft by 2 idx dot strip, actually that r strip, zrip plus to the shopping cart, and I can give a backslash n so it's easier for the user to enter. And if I find that the user does want to enter this, so I will get go ahead to, so if go ahead is equal to 1, like I said, we can just go and append this to the shopping cart. So I just go and say shopping cart dot append oft by 2, say idx, and shopping quant dot append, because we want to append the same exact quantity as what the user has purchased for the main item. But now for displaying this particular item nicely, I just need to enhance my final display a little bit. I'm just going to copy this code and you know uh, put it over here. So I'm going to say if shopping cart is in, let's say, oft by 2. Now remember, for those items which are coming from oft by 2, so I can use, let's say, the index I'll use is oft, say, by 2 uh, dot shopping cart KK, and unit price must now come from oft by price, because that is the, now that's really all I need to do. So when I run this, I get an option, select, enter 1 to 6 to select an item. Let's say I want to select, let's say, 5 units of milkshake, say 2 ice cream, so let's say 6 units of ice cream, and say 3 units of chocolate. Let's say I do that. Now I'm ready to check out, I think, and I say 7 to check out. It says, well, my cart looks okay, so I say 0. But now it makes a recommendation. It says, okay, look, people offer purchase biscuit with milkshake. Would you want to purchase that? I think, yeah, that's a good idea. So I enter that. People often purchase wafers with ice cream. That's also sounds okay, so I'm going to do that as well. People often purchase toffee with chocolate. Would you want to purchase that? I think I don't want that, so I just say 0, for example. Now notice my shopping cart has now been updated to give me biscuit and wafers as well at the right price points, which was from the list, often by price. And this is my updated cart. Now, obviously, this is quite interesting. Again, a lot of possibilities exist in this. You could look at things like, recommend things a little bit more smartly rather than just one list. But again, be systematic, because the more enhancements you add, the more thought needs to go into what's going on. Once again, if you enjoy this way of learning, do check us out at www.ybyte.in. Do register for the demo class, and we'll be happy to teach you programming through fun activities the way we are doing here. Take care. Thank you so much. Bye bye.